Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, and I'm still going on that ivermectin article because I read a little bit more of it. And I'm just slowly becoming more horrified by the minute. If you don't know what I mean, I showed this in my last video, but I'm going to show you again. I'm reading this. This was sent through the grapevine throughout the autistic community. But here's the thing. It's not just given to kids with autism. No, let's go down here. The people that this includes that they're giving it to. It's not just me. It's being used on people like my baby nephew. My baby nephew has Down syndrome. Very obviously, neurodiversity runs throughout, very strongly throughout my dad's side of the family. It's not being just used on autistics, it's being used on all of us. It's supposed to be used as a horse dewormer. I will be going into the details tonight during open chat. Of course, it just the amount of horror. I know it doesn't show on my face, I'm aware. Horror, shock, sadness, and of course the anger. But we'll be getting into that later. So trigger warning for open chat. If you think my explicitives are bad on these videos, wait until we go through that article tonight. Because you're, what was that term from Kevin Hart? You're going to learn today? Yeah, just prepare yourself for that. All right, now to the usual disclaimers, but I'm just going to say one thing, just one little thing here. If one of you morons tries to get my brother to use that crap on my baby nephew, you haven't seen hell yet. And I'm not just talking me. I'm talking my oldest brother. Paul and him have a bromance. He has about as much conscience as Paul does.
Talking about that dog dewormer injection they're doing in the UK?
That they also put on kids with Down syndrome. Imagine them trying to force my brother Joe to do that.
Yeah, no.
It won't end well. I promise you that. And that's not even discussing my microbiologist sister-in-law and her special rage issues. Yeah, have fun with her. You leave our neurodiverse family alone.
Well, here in the US, they tested that stuff on humans back in around 2020, and it was found to have absolutely no beneficial effects for humans whatsoever, other than causing the same side effects in humans that it does in dogs and livestock. So enjoy your seizures.
And yeah, we're going to be going into that tonight. To the disclaimers, in the description box, folks, you're going to find links to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by Neuroclastic, a very small non-for-profit started by Autistics for Autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read that article so much. They have threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. I just want to say it. They've got no leg to stand on. Absolutely none. None. Anyways, please read that article. Share it on all your social media. We also have Neuroclastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding folks in case the JRC actually has the cojones to see through with their threat. We also have the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school / now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called one of the many Christian-themed boarding schools based out of Stockton, Missouri that has and pending, folks, over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the evidence gathered by the Missouri Department of Social Services during their investigation. And trigger warning, folks, if you're kind of delicate. These are very descriptive words, has to do with harm to children. If it bothers you, please pause the video and just look at the links in the description box. Nobody's going to think less of you. These allegations include, that have been substantiated, sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, which is physical abuse of children, of course, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You got one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who's still on the premises up on multiple claims, also facing jail time, by the way, sodomy, sexual assault, and rape. That's still there with access to the boys on the premises. You've got an attorney general out here who's too busy chasing after drag queens to actually protect the kids out here from real pedophiles. And you got a governor. I don't know what's wrong with our governor, okay? I ponder this in my head daily, about mid-morning every day, reading the stuff he puts out and just trying to make it make coherent sense in my head. So, send help, all right? You got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Trigger warning, when we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Other trigger warning. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and we do speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision, folks, okay? Again, not my job to parent your kids. This you. Okay? All right. Again, another trigger warning. We are about to once again descend into the mad, nonsensical, lunatic ravings of the lunatic mind, no less, of Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, pseudoscience, lies, abuse, and torture apologencia. Enough ableism and bigotry to circle the globe a few thousand times, all coming from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So, be prepared for the monumental amount of stupid being said by a doctor with his whole chest who, God, the arrogance. The ignorant arrogance. There's one thing on this earth that will get me madder than anything else. And that is these individuals who are completely ignorant and just full of arrogance and condescension. That's Dr. Matthew Israel in a nutshell. Well, that's just talking about his personality and not, how much of a monster he is. All right. Let's get to where we left off, shall we? Remember, we're talking about the behavioral rehearsal lessons. To give you a little backdrop, behavioral rehearsal lessons is this idea that we are going to trigger the patient into having a behavior. And then we're going to punish them for the behavior. If it sounds insane and like child abuse, that's because it is. Also very dangerous. Imagine that child as an adult. Think PTSD soldier. Ask us if that's going to go well. Ask us why other doctors are not doing it with soldiers coming off the battlefield. Because they're not stupid or suicidal. Think, you know? Just saying, a little bit of logic could go a really long way. But I forgot, logic is no longer common. Behaviors deemed aggressive, getting out of a chair without permission, and behaviors referred to as minor and non-compliant behaviors, raising your hand without permission, are all punishable by electric shocks, restraints, and other punishments. Now, they're going to sit there and are more likely going to lie to us. But JRC, I have receipts. Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, no less. Which means it's not a lie. But let's see. JRC does not treat minor behaviors with adversives. Lie. Explain to me, doctor. When an individual has done something as simple as refused to remove their coat, and then you felt that this warranted a shock, and as his body tensed and he screamed in protest at being shocked, you thought that it was proper to restrain him on a 4-point board, face down, with a helmet on, and shocked him for over 7 hours, all stemming for a simple refusal of removing a coat. If you do not call that minor, I don't even know what to tell you at that point, okay? This is your own paperwork, doctor. Your own paperwork. JRC treats adversive measures behaviors when behaviors seriously harm the health, safety, or effective habilitation of the students. JRC finds that it's unable to treat the behaviors effectively with positive-only procedures. Everything you said here is a lie, doctor. We're going to finish the paragraph and then proceeds. These behaviors might include self-mutilation, violent physical attacks, destructive behaviors such as throwing furniture or computer equipment around in a classroom or residence, or disrobing and masturbating in public. All right, explain something to me, doctor. Why was Andre McCollins subjected to 7 hours of shocks? Because I've seen the video footage. The world has seen the video footage. I link it in my description box, every video. In that video, you want to know what I saw? Andre McCollins was not out of his seat. He was not acting aggressively. He was not making any moves against anyone. He was not self-harming. He wasn't trying to harm anyone else. He wasn't disrobing. He wasn't masturbating in public. He was doing none of those things, doctor. A simple refusal to remove his coat. And you felt that that warranted to have him slammed on a 4-point board face down, restrained to where he couldn't move, where you shocked him again and again, over 31 times in a 7-hour period at just below the lethal limit. That treatment left him catatonic for a month, doctor, a month, simply from refusing to remove his coat. What horrible behavior did he display in that video that warranted what you did to him? Nothing. In fact, I'm going to go one further. And even those behaviors that you're mentioning right there are also not justifications for torture. This isn't treatment, doctor. You continue to lie and lie and lie when there are receipts. This is what's remarkable about this man. We have DESI reports. We have their own notes. We have video surveillance footage, and he continues to tote this lie over and over and over and over and over again. Now, doctor, I want you to remind me before we close out on this video and wrap things up here. If this is true, if this is the only reason that you would ever shock anyone, why did you order your staff to dispose of the video surveillance footage that you were asked for in 2010? Why did you have to step down from as head of the JRC, doctor? Why did you have to step down? Why did you want that footage destroyed? It's because you're a liar, doctor. You're torturing us because there's less protest from the general public if the victims you choose are disabled people or people with mental health issues. In particular, those you truly target and you put on your insane devices are individuals of color who come from poor communities. Or they come from communities that lack resources when it comes to diagnosis and treatment. So to wrap it all up, folks, he's once again lying. He keeps telling us he only uses it as last resort. It's not being used all the time. But we know from surveillance tapes, we know from what was witnessed by the eyeballs of those who visited from the New York State Department of Special Education and the testimony of the individuals who've gone through these horrors themselves, the DESI reports, his own behavioral contracts, that he is lying here. If that doesn't tell you everything, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you next vid.